My husband maintains a close friendship with his ex-wife. Should I be concerned, or is this completely normal? My husband, 36M, and I, 34 female, had been married for 8 years, together for 14, and we have a 4-year-old daughter that is our whole life. He had been married before with Eliza, his best friend. They married at 18 and lasted 2 years and divorced. They remained best friend, and when we started dating, Eliza, my husband's other best friend, Jack, and my husband were a tight-knit. Eliza was one of the bros and I always was the girlfriend and later the wife, always an outsider. His 2 friends are single, so our house was always a place to crash. Even since we moved together, they would show unannounced and do their own thing while I made snacks and full meals. For the first year I tried my best to integrate into their clique, but never worked out. It was always a ward, and I felt I was inserting myself where I didn't belong, so I stopped trying and relegate myself to be great host, and let them do their things. I didn't notice at first, but over the years resentment had built. I feel like a 50s housewife serving drinks and lighting cigarettes to men. My husband on his own is amazing and love him. He had been a great partner and my best friend during this 14 years. Problem is, I'm not his best friend, Eliza is. Every single thing that happens in our life had been discussed and annualized with Eliza. Early in our relationship I got pregnant. I took the test early in the night, and we were really scared. Despite this, he was so reassuring with me, holding me the whole night, and told he was ready to do whatever I wanted to do. I said I needed to really think about it. Next day we went to our classes and agreed to lunch together. When we met, he asked me how I was and all, then told he had the contact of a doctor who did abortions. It was illegal back then. I asked how he found one so fast when wasn't sure what to do. Answer: he called Eliza early in the morning and she had a friend. I felt so betrayed because this was something that belonged to me, and he went and shared it with someone else. Not just someone else's, Elias. Come on, he said. During the next days, every time I saw him, he has new information from Eliza and Eliza's friend. I was so confused and scared, and Eliza convinced my boyfriend we needed to it fast because it would be easier. It was so much pressure I agreed. Long story short, it was a rat hole doctor office and I almost died there. To this day I don't know if I should have kept the baby or no. But better not think about it. When my boyfriend proposed, Eliza was fake mad. He didn't said first to her he was going to propose to me. The only way to placate her was to has her as a best man, despite my husband having a male best friend. Every little or major event in our life turns into, yeah, I'm gonna tell now, Eliza, you know how she gets. I was saw as a child and told this to my husband. He was the first person I talked about it. Months later, Eliza and I were alone in our kitchen, and she started to talk about something she heard in the news about a girl raped a family member, and then hugged me. When I started to try for a child and I got pregnant, I asked my husband to keep this for us for a little. It was Sunday when I saw Eliza. She congratulated me. I ended up miscarrying. I started to look for a doctor to help me deal with my depression. Again, something I wanted to keep to myself. Eliza was so understanding. When I was pregnant with my daughter, Eliza came full of advice on things I should do. I told her to mind her own business, which really hurt her feelings. I stood on my ground and told my husband I wasn't going to raise my kid with Eliza, and didn't want to hear any advice from her. This was a big fight with my husband, because I was rude and Eliza was family and already considered herself an auntie. This had been the only time I had given an ultimatum to my husband: Eliza better keep herself away from my motherhood, or we'll leave. Now resentment has reached a point when I don't want her near me, or my house, or my husband. I feel she is more married to my husband than I. My whole life feels like I live best friends to lover drama. I'm not sure why I'm writing this. Probably because I'm alone in a coffee shop and thinking I want my husband to be my husband, and not feel like a lame love interest in someone else's epic love story. In the past, my husband thought I was being childish. Despite loving him, I can't keep to be married like this. I don't feel I can trust to talk to him again without involving Eliza. I don't want to hold an ultimatums. TL Doctor: my husband is best friend with his ex-wife. I don't trust him anymore. Comments. Comment 1. This outcome was inevitable. It doesn't matter the situation. Anytime a monogamous relationship between two people has a third person deeply entrenched in the relationship, whether it's an ex, or a bestie, or a sibling, or a parent, the relationship is doomed. That third party does not belong there, but rooting them out is impossible if your partner is holding the door open to them. The relationship can no longer be an equal partnership if there is an extra person weighing down one side. It's just not how it works. I wish more people understood that. Comment 2. God damn, this is the saddest thing I've read in a long time. I couldn't imagine this being my life and having a partner who would carelessly ruin my life just so they can have their cake and eat it too. What an unbelievably cruel man Oop's husband is. Treating this woman as a tool to use for his needs while he loves his soulmate and makes his wife watch the whole damn time. Update. Few days after my post, I took a pregnancy test and it was positive. Having a large family is what we always wanted, and ever since my abortion I was left with a feeling of having empty arms. So holding my daughter in my arms was like feeling whole again, and I need to grow my arms even more to hold my new baby too. But after the initial happiness, a ugly feeling started to grow in my stomach. I didn't want Eliza in our life. It felt like taking my innocence's glasses out and I was able to see her. Like really see her. How every smile was so damn fake. Every compliment was always mean spirit, or kinda a self-compliment. Nice potato salad, it was great. Oh, remember to my husband that potato salad I made, it was kinda unbelievable. Or nice outfall, I love how confident you are. I can't leave the house without making sure my outfit is flawless. Her reaction to my first pregnancy, wedding, travels, my second pregnancy, buying a house. How everything that should be between my husband and I. Always include her. Like if our life was a play she should write and direct. On our first Christmas together she came when we were decorating, and with all his positive critics, I ended sitting in a corner drinking wine while she and my husband decorate. She is always here. And by here I mean in my life. She has a say in everything in my life, to the point that when my husband voices opinion I can say when these are his words, and when are Eliza's. I'm no saying that since I wrote the last post everybody turned into ultimate evils, but thinking and rethinking about my life with my husband, I had always been a passive character. It's like my husband got himself a pet, and he and Eliza are going to be endgame when they both realize they never stopped loving each other. Some of you, as my sister, will say I'm dormant. I guess I am. I have let this go for so long that it becomes normal. My life isn't bad. My husband's hasn't been a bad husband, and Eliza isn't so bad, if the bar is she hasn't tried to kill me yet. I know it's clear to you all. But to me it have been my life for years. My day-to-day I learned to look away, and make me small so I don't make others uncomfortable. Maybe because I'm pregnant and hormonal, but I'm tired of this. I love my husband, but I feel he can't love fully with Eliza whispering to his ear, and him running like a golden retriever to please her. So after all that thinking and rethinking I sat my husband down and told him we needed to set some strong boundaries, because our marriage was working and I didn't feel loved or respected like a wife or even a person. I explained more or less what I said here. My husband denied everything and tried to explain himself, saying Eliza was like a sister to him. I say even siblings have boundaries. It was back and forth, with him making me doubt if maybe I was in fact trying to control who was or wasn't in his life. Wanting to monitor his friendships, and even joked if we'll need to sly away to have a drink with his buds. For a moment I feel maybe I was in fact crazy. But I was firm into my ground. If he wanted to keep this marriage, Eliza needs to be gone from our life. At first I thought low contact was good, but seeing his reaction I knew that wasn't going to be enough. Maybe I wouldn't be seeing Eliza, but he certainly will do, and I would be antagonized and mocked. Honestly, knowing this made me realize my marriage was over. So I asked important questions and pressed what his real feeling were. Why they divorced if they were so hung into each other. Why no leave me sooner? Why no leave me? Did he loves Eliza more than me? Why? What is that? What is that? That I don't have and she does that makes her impossible to leave. In a summary, he loves her, but he loves me, he doesn't understand how. Both of us bring something he doesn't want to miss. He is not sure if he wants a life with Eliza like the one we have, a marriage, a family. But she is his soulmate. They divorced because between then it was so much fire that we're burning each other. With me he is calm, peace and loving place to come back. He have never cheated, but admits he sometimes fantasies with her being me and me being her. They often talk about them having this life but agree that being together would break their bond. All fucked up, my God. I know this was kinda obvious to you all on my first post, and it should have been obvious to me, but hearing my husband saying he loves another woman that is his soulmate, and he put her in the center of our life, made her an auntie to our daughter, and some kind of sister-in-law to me. A supposed family friend. I'm not gonna lie. It broke me. I threw myself on the floor and hugged his legs and asked him what I need to do to him to love me. To only love me. I felt so pathetic, but I believed everything was worth to save something with so much value like my marriage. I cried and cried and cried, and the hardest part was to hear there was nothing I could do. This is all. I know isn't some shocking new, to me my life is falling apart. The only thing holding me up are two little hands that hug me every night, and the small bean in my belly. We haven't discussed anything legal yet. He left the house and my sister and mom and staying with us for now. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for refusing to tell my husband to apologize when all he did was stand up for me? I am the youngest of 7 kids. The problem I have is with the eldest sibling, my sister Mary. Mary has always undermined and judged my choices growing up. For example, when I wanted to take a gap year after high school to save money for university, Mary told me it was a bad idea, and that once I took a gap year, I'd never go back just like her. I almost didn't go through with it, because she made me second-guess myself. Then, after the gap year, I changed my major after the first semester, and she yelled at me for hours about how I was going to ruin my life and waste all my money since I couldn't make up my mind. I have countless examples of times she made me cry from her yelling or made me question my decisions. And at the time, I felt compelled to listen to her. After meeting my husband then boyfriend and getting a therapist, they both helped me realize I needed to distance myself from Mary, because she's extremely toxic and both emotionally and verbally abusive. It took a lot of effort. But I finally went no contact with her. I finished university, got a job in my chosen field thanks to my brother-in-law, moved in with my husband, and eventually got married. For the first time in a long time, I felt truly happy. I still see Mary during family events and holidays. I hate seeing her, but it's my family too, and I don't want to miss out because of her. However, she always finds a way to ruin the holiday for me. She often takes digs at my husband, saying she doesn't like him, and that I could do better. My husband usually tells me to ignore her, because he thinks she's only doing it for a reaction. Last weekend we had our Thanksgiving celebration at my mom's house. When we arrived, my husband asked my mom if we could host Christmas at our place since her house is getting too small to fit everyone. Before my mom could respond, Mary jumped in, saying we shouldn't offer a home we didn't buy, and then called my husband a fucking nepotism baby. The comment made me mad, because she knows nothing about my husband's situation. My husband inherited our home from his grandfather after he passed away, so her saying that was incredibly insensitive. Both my mom and I told her off and she quieted down for a bit. But during dinner my brother asked me how work was going and Mary chimed in again, claiming I probably don't work since my husband is rich. I corrected her, explaining that we're not rich, and that I work as a preschool teacher and she knows this. Standing up for myself seemed to completely set her off. She yelled at me, saying I was only working there because I couldn't handle the other program I was in, and that she knows I'm not happy with my temporary job, and I should be pursuing a more serious career. Mary kept yelling, tearing into my life choices. I got anxious and nervous, as I always do when she yells. It brings back the trauma she caused me. I tried to defend myself but started stuttering, which made her escalate. My mom and siblings tried to get her to stop, but she wouldn't. Then she said something that hurt the most. She called me a disappointment and claimed my mom felt the same way. At that point my husband lost it. He started yelling at her, which is rare for him since he's usually very calm. He swore at her and called her some names, including a fat bitch and a cunt. He also called her evil, and said no one in the family liked her. It turned into a screaming match. My mom tried to calm Mary down and my husband, but neither of them would stop. My husband and I ended up leaving and going back to the Airbnb we were staying at. The next day we went back to my mom's house. My husband apologized to my mom for yelling and ruining dinner, but said he wouldn't apologize to Mary. Since then my mom has been calling me, asking me to get my husband to apologize to keep the peace. Mary still lives with her, and my mom is tired of her ranting about how rude my husband was and cursing him out. But I told my mom I'm not going to make him apologize. I know he was rude, and some of the things he said were harsh. But Mary was always rude, and no one is telling her to apologize to us. So whipped for not telling my husband to apologize just to keep the peace with my sister? I know that neither of us owe Mary anything, but apologizing would make things easier on my mom. Comments. Comment 1. Maybe I'm reading this wrong, but it kind of feels like Oop can acknowledge that Mary mentally abused her, but can't acknowledge that her mom being around Mary 24/7, with Mary acting like a zero-calorie version of herself towards mom is still abuse. Comment 2. As the oldest of 8 kids, I can understand that Mary's likely full of resentment and anger as a result of her parentification, but this is not the way. Trauma doesn't justify wanton mistreatment of others. Mary, if you ever read this, get your ass to therapy. Failing that, at least take a big step back and carefully consider how you want the rest of your life go proceed. Update 1. My husband also wanted me to pass along his thanks as well for standing up for me. I showed him this post, and he feels vindicated. His words, not mine. He truly is such a wonderful man, and I'm very lucky to have him. I responded to some comments, but I wanted to make a larger post to address the things I saw mentioned the most. I called my mom today and told her that my husband will definitely not be apologizing to Mary. He did apologize to the rest of the family for the scene, though. I feel bad for my mom, but making the original post gave me the courage I needed to tell her this. I don't like seeing her stressed, but I need to protect my husband, just like he always protects me. My husband made a couple of comments suggesting he could apologize for the language he used. He offered to do that, but I told him it wasn't necessary since Mary would never return the apology for what she said. My mom said she understood and promised not to bring it up again. I also told her, for her own sake, to ignore Mary if she starts ranting about it again. I saw a lot of comments about cutting off my mom or going low contact with her. Also a lot that were bashing her. I want to say up front that I'm not going to do that, nor do I appreciate those rude comments. I agree that my mom has enabled some of Mary's behavior, but she's not a bad mom. She has always tried to control Mary, but Mary doesn't listen to anyone. My mom raised 7 kids on her own. Our dad died when I was 2, and Mary was 14. It's impossible to pay attention to everything with so many kids, and I don't blame my mom for not being able to stop the abuse when it started. I didn't even know it was abuse when I was a kid. I thought that's just how older sisters are supposed to be. My mom worked a lot to support us when we were kids, and unfortunately for all of us, this meant that Mary was forced to take on a parental role. And since I was the youngest, it made her both become very attached and resentful towards me. Words from my therapist. My mom has made mistakes, but so has every parent, and I'm not going to hold a grudge against the only parent I know. However, I think having a serious conversation with her would be a good idea. I might even bring her to a therapy session so we can talk about everything Mary put me through. I haven't talked to her about it much, and what my mom knows is just the tip of the iceberg. She really does try her best to parent us, she always has. But Mary is too much for everyone. Many people asked why Mary still lives at home. I mentioned this in a comment, but Mary has a chronic pain disease that forces her to take a lot of time off work. I also think it's another reason why she is so mean. I won't go into details, but she does have a job. But she can't afford to live on her own. None of my siblings are willing to take her in, and most of them are low contact with her since she treats us all the same. My mom isn't the kind of person to turn her back on her kids, so she lets Mary stay. I also think she does this as a way of making it up to Mary for relying on her so much for childcare. Some comments asked if Mary was abusing my mom. I want to clarify that this isn't the case. For everything Mary has done, she's never put her hands on anyone. While she does fight like this with my mom sometimes, she treats her much better than the rest of us. The worst thing she does is use my mom as her personal therapist. Mary is absolutely not coming to Christmas. I was never planning to invite her, and my husband would never allow her within 20 feet of our home. She will throw a fit, but we don't care. I love the holidays, and for once I'd like to spend them with people who actually care about me. I also think it's a good idea to take your advice to avoid family gatherings if Mary is present. That will be hard, because I don't want to miss time with the rest of my family, but I'll just make plans with them individually. Once again, thank you to everyone who commented. You've given me a lot to think about, and I'm planning to share some of your comments with my therapist to work through them. Some of them hit me hard, and I need time to unpack everything. This will be my last update, and I'll be deleting this account sometime after posting this. Take care, and I wish you all the best. From both me and my husband, we hope you have a wonderful holiday.